You were handed a script before you could read one. Go to school, get good grades, get a stable job, work hard, retire happy. Trust the news, trust the textbook, trust the people in charge. Nobody asked if you agreed. They just installed it. The same way every generation before you got it installed. And you spent your whole childhood treating it as gravity instead of what it actually is. A system. Today, you're going to look directly at the lies you inherited. The ones about school, work, government, media, and history. The ones that built the cage most people live in without ever checking if the door was locked. This is going to make some people uncomfortable. Good. Comfort is what kept the lie alive this long. Go to school, get good grades, get a stable job. You heard this before you understood what any of those words meant. It came from parents who believed it, teachers who were paid to enforce it, and a culture that built its entire self-image around it. It was never presented as one option among many. It was presented as the only responsible path a person could take. The system was built for an economy that no longer exists. It was built during an era of pensions, single-income households, and companies that kept employees for 30 years. Grades were a proxy for compliance and memorization, not intelligence, not creativity, not the actual skills that build wealth or meaning in the century. You're trained to sit still, raise your hand, follow instructions, and wait to be graded by an authority figure. That trains you to be a good employee. It does not train you to think independently, take financial risk, build something of your own, or question the very system training you. That is not an accident. A population that questions authority is harder to manage than a population that memorizes and complies. And the stable job part of the lie has been dying for years while everyone kept repeating it like scripture. Pensions mostly disappeared. Job security mostly disappeared. Entire industries have been automated or are being automated right now, while people still tell their kids to study hard and get a safe job, as if safety and employment is still something that exists the way it did 2 generations ago. Meanwhile, the actual cost of following the script skyrocketed. Tuition costs multiplied far faster than wages. An entire generation went into debt for credentials in a job market that increasingly doesn't reward the credential the way it was promised to. You were sold a path with a guaranteed outcome. The guarantee expired before you graduated, and nobody updated the sales pitch. This doesn't mean education is worthless or that every job is a trap. It means the specific promise, the guaranteed stability in the exchange for obedience and debt, was a lie by the time it reached you. You inherited a map drawn for a world that stopped existing, and you were told to trust it completely, no questions asked. You were taught that people in charge have your best interest at heart, that the systems governing your life are run with integrity, transparency, and your well-being as the priority. Most people carry that belief the same way they carry their name, unexamined, absorbed in childhood, treated as fact. Power protects itself first. Every institution, given enough time, optimizes for its own survival before it optimizes for the people it claims to serve. This isn't a claim about any single event or any single party. This is a pattern that repeats across history and across governments of every ideology. Information gets managed. Inconvenient facts get delayed, minimized, or buried. Decisions get made in rooms you'll never see, for reasons you're never given, and you're handed a simplified version, built to keep you calm and compliant rather than informed. You are taught to trust first and question never. Trust is something systems should have to earn continuously, not something you hand over automatically because a title or institution demands it. Questioning authority isn't disrespect. It's the minimum requirement for staying a free-thinking person instead of a managed one. You are taught that the news exists to inform you. Look at the actual incentive structure and a different picture appears. Most media companies make money from attention, not accuracy. Outrage holds attention longer than nuance. Fear holds attention longer than calm explanation. A story that makes you angry or afraid gets more engagement than a story that makes you think slowly and carefully. So the entire machine is built, whether consciously or through pure market pressure, to produce content that provokes rather than content that informs. This is why the same event gets covered with completely different framing depending on which outlet you watch, which audience that outlet is selling to, and which emotional reaction keeps that particular audience scrolling. You're not being handed reality. You are being conditioned by a system that was engineered to keep you watching. And it was engineered by people who profit from your attention, not your understanding. Notice how rarely a headline gets corrected with the same volume as the original claim. Notice how many stories that dominated your feed for a week disappeared completely once they stopped generating clicks, regardless of whether the underlying issue was resolved. That is not journalism failing occasionally. That's the business model working exactly as designed. You were taught history as a set of settled facts, delivered in a textbook, tested on a scantron, treated as a neutral truth about what actually happened. History is written by whoever wins, whoever funds the institution writing it, and whoever benefits from a particular version of events being remembered in a particular way. Entire chapters of what actually happened get compressed into paragraphs, softened, or left out completely, because the full account doesn't serve the narrative a given nation, institution, or culture wants its citizens to carry. You were told it was the complete record. Most people never go back and check, because questioning your own education feels like questioning your own foundation, and that's uncomfortable in a way most people avoid their entire lives. A child absorbs what they were told because they have no framework to evaluate it. A student absorbs the textbook the same way. An adult absorbs the news the same way. At every level, the mind that was never taught to question defaults to accepting the version handed to it, and the people handing it down are rarely neutral. A population that questions everything is a population that's difficult to manage. Schools reward memorization and compliance because compliant workers keep an economy running smoothly. Governments benefit from citizens who trust official statements without demanding evidence. Media companies profit from audiences who react instead of investigate. None of these systems need a secret meeting to arrive at this outcome. They just needed you to never be taught critical thinking as a core skill, and the result took care of itself. Children learn faster than adults because their mind stays open. The moment a mind hardens into certainty, whether that certainty came from a parent, a teacher, a headline, or a textbook, it stops learning and starts defending. Every system above benefits from your mind hardening early and staying that way. An open, questioning adult is expensive to manage. A certain, compliant adult runs on autopilot. None of this means burn it all down or trust nothing. Total distrust is just another form of certainty. And certainty in either direction stops you from thinking. The goal isn't to replace blind trust with blind cynicism. The goal is to build a muscle you were never taught to build, evaluating information for yourself instead of outsourcing that job to an institution because it has a badge, a diploma, or a broadcast license. Start asking who benefits from believing this. Every claim, every headline, every institutional message has an interest behind it. Following the money and the incentive tells you more than the surface content ever will. Start separating the useful parts of the old script from the false promise attached to them. Education can still build real skill, even though the guaranteed stability it was sold with is gone. Structure and discipline can still build a good life, even though the specific path your parents were handed no longer applies the same way. You don't have to burn the entire inheritance. You have to sort through it and keep only what's actually true. Start treating your own research as non-negotiable. Read the primary source, not just the headline. Read more than one account from the same historical event before deciding what happened. Follow the incentive behind every institution claiming to inform you. This takes more effort than accepting the first version you are handed. That effort is the entire price of thinking for yourself, and it is far cheaper than a lifetime spent building your decisions on top of somebody else's lie. You inherited more than beliefs about your own worth. You inherited an entire operating system. What path to take, who to trust, what happened in the past, what's happening right now. Almost none of it was chosen by you. All of it was installed by people and institutions with their own incentives, some well-meaning, some not, none of them neutral. You get to go back through every piece of that inheritance and decide for yourself what actually holds up. That's not disrespect toward the people who raised you or taught you. That's the responsibility that comes with having a mind capable of questioning in the first place. Use it, or somebody else will keep using it for you.